Good evening and welcome to the October 13th meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Hearings before this commission are quasi-judicial in nature. This is a design review process to determine whether a proposed project is congruous with the special character of the historic district or landmark in which it is located. Decisions of the Commission are based on the record of these proceedings, the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, and the Secretary of Interior's Standards for Rehabilitation. Evidence submitted to the Commission for review will become part of the record. Appeal of a Commission decision must be submitted to the Wilmington Board of Adjustment within 30 days of the date of the Commission's action. Further appeal must be submitted to Superior Court. Evidence pertaining to an agenda item must be presented during the evidentiary portion of that item. Individuals who wish to address the Commission will be sworn in as witnesses to present material and substantial evidence. The Chair will recognize each witness who wishes to address the Commission during the evidentiary portion. In order to ensure that witness evidence is properly recorded, each individual is asked to come to the podium and clearly state their name and address before addressing the Commission. As a brief reminder, members of the Commission are appointed by and serve at the pleasure of the City Council. Our charge is with respect to the protection and preservation of the properties located within the city's designated historic districts. The Commission is held to the requirements of the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, as well as the applicable North Carolina state law. We are to determine whether exterior changes to a building are congruous with the special character of the city's historic districts. It is important that the Commission deliberate the merits of each request in a manner that provides a record of the basis of our decisions. Please remember that our deliberation should be centered on how a project meets the Wilmington Design Standards and whether the changes are congruous. Commissioners, if you have received or been made aware of any information outside this evidentiary hearing related to any agenda item before the Commission, please recuse yourself from that agenda item. Before the meeting begins, please ensure that all cell phones are silent mode and turned off. I'll start the meeting by introduction of the city staff. Jessica Baldwin, who's our senior planner, Amy Bradshaw, who's our planning coordinator, Melissa Huffman, our assistant city attorney, Megan Basic, associate planner, and Linda,
Painter,
our senior planner, our director of planning, sorry. Okay, I'm going to start the meeting by asking Amy to come up to the podium so that she can swear in our newest member, Allison Watts.
Ms. Watts, if you could please stand up and raise your right hand. I, Allison Watts, having been duly appointed a member of the Wilmington Historic Preservation Commission, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of my knowledge and ability. I will obey the laws of the ordinances of the city of Wilmington and faithfully discharge the duties of the office to which I have been appointed. So help me God. Thank you.
Now, if the commissioners would please introduce themselves, I'll start at this end.
Ron Wilson.
Stephen Salke.
Ashley Wilson.
Kathleen Egan.
Christopher Yermel.
Ms. Watts, you'll need to turn on your mic.
Allie Watts.
Thanks.
Then next we will need to swear in those present who wish to present evidence related to an agenda item tonight.
If I could now have all staff, applicants, and any members of the public who wish to speak to please stand up and raise your right hand. In order to speak this evening, you must be sworn in. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
That ends our, oh, no, it doesn't, sorry. The next item on the administrative part of the meeting is approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. Does anyone have any correction to the minutes? Okay, can we have a motion then to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and the motion passes. Then we move on to the evidentiary hearings. And the first item of new business, number 1, is 114 South 6th Street.
All right. The applicant at 114 South 6th Street proposes a new accessory structure in the rear yard. The Shoemaker House was built circa 1915 and is a two-story craftsman-style front gable dwelling. The house features 4 large brick columns with decorative recessed reveals along the first-story facade. The one-story porch has a simple picket balustrade and a roof deck at the second story with a balustrade to match the first. In between short brick columns capped with stone. The front facade has a central gable vent, 1/1 windows, and an off-center transomed entry. The building has flared eaves and a wide frieze at the second-story roof line. The subject property is located on the east side of South 6th Street between Dock and Orange Streets. The subject property is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential, and revisions to all facades of the building and the site are subject to design review in this district. The applicant seeks to construct a one-story garage in the rear yard. The garage will be 20 feet by 24 feet deep, and the garage will be set back from the side south property line 5 feet, and set back from the rear west property line 5 feet, and then from the north property line 11 feet 6 inches. The proposed garage will be clad in hardy board smooth lap siding, painted Sherwin-Williams Meadow Sage to match the existing dwelling. The trim will be painted to match the existing dwelling. The proposed garage foundation will be reinforced concrete on a pad on grade, and the proposed garage roof will be Owens Corning Oak Ridge shingles in estate gray to match the dwelling. The proposed front facade features one garage door, which will be Amar 16-foot aluminum 4 panels wide by 4 panels tall. The proposed gravel driveway will extend to the new garage, and the gravel will match the existing. Staff notes that garages and accessory buildings occur throughout the local historic district. Seen here in this area, a small section of the area, you can see in red the current accessory structures. Staff notes the proposed garage at 114 South 6th Street has minimal visibility from the public right-of-way. Staff notes that the applicant submitted drawings that included shutters of the windows of the proposed garage, but no specification for the shutters was provided. And staff notes that the applicant submitted 1 vinyl window specification and 1 wood window specification, and notes that the applicant has chosen the wood windows for both windows within the new structure. And the staff would like to enter tonight's report in its entirety to the record.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
One quick question. I noticed the driveway is to the right, but the garage is sited to the left of the lot. Is that because of the tree? They're trying to preserve that tree on the right?
That's my interpretation of that, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, the applicant has an opportunity to provide additional evidence or answer any questions, or if the applicant would like to come forward. Just please state your name and address so we can get it in the minutes.
Okay, it's James Rashavi, 114 South 6th Street. I think it was pretty thorough. Yes, the driveway would curve a little bit in the back to accommodate. We didn't want to disturb any of the trees that are there, so we're avoiding tree roots. So that
Good
was
job.
the big reason for that. As far as the shutters go, there are no shutters on the house, and I think that our contractor made a mistake there putting shutters on. That's why there were no specifications for them. So we hadn't really planned on using shutters because we were trying to match the house as close as we can. Anything else from you guys?
Other questions?
Thank you.
That ends the evidentiary portion of this agenda item, and we will move to commissioner deliberation.
I'm sorry, you have to open the public, you have to open the evidentiary hearing.
I'm sorry. We'll open the evidentiary portion to members of the public. Okay, then we'll close the evidentiary portion to the members of the public and move to commissioner deliberation.
I got no problem with this.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion then?
And the applicant said that the shutters are not included as part of the project, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to approve with condition the request to construct a rear accessory structure 114 South 6th Street and to adopt the proposed finding of facts. Details are shown in the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statements contained in the application as supplemental materials, and statements made at this meeting are a part of the request unless otherwise noted. The motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of facts. The following conditions shall apply to ensure compliance with the design standards so set forth in staff report 1 to 8, and there will be no shutters in the garage. The proposed request with conditions does comply with the Wilmington design standards for the historic districts and landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic buildings and historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district residential as a whole. Applicable design standards, 1.6, Secretary of the Interior Standards, standards 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, and 10. 2.4, walkways, driveways, off-street parking, standards 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 2.5, garages, carriage houses, and accessory structures, standards 4 and 5. 3.2, windows and doors, standards 5, 6, 7, and 8. 4.2, new construction, infill pages, standards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we'll move to the second item on the agenda, which is 620 Chestnut Street.
The applicant proposes exterior alterations, site improvements, and a second-story addition to an existing addition. 620 Chestnut Street, built circa 1872, is a two-story dwelling featuring a one-story porch with a turned balustrade, ramas, decorative brackets with finials, and an open latticework arch at the entrance. The dwelling also features a bracketed cornice, a double-leaf half-light door, and 1/1 windows. The porch was modified in 1988 to wrap around the North 7th Street facade and connect to a rear addition built sometime before 1893. The rear garage was built around 1988 and models the details of the dwelling. The property is located on the southwest corner of North 7th Street and Chestnut Street. The subject property is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential, and revisions to all facades of the building and site are subject to design review within this district. The applicant proposes the following changes to the dwelling overall. To repair and replace any damaged siding, the new siding will be a 5-inch exposure natural pine painted to match existing. And the applicant proposes to replace wood shutters to match existing wood shutters in style, proportion, and material, and to install a new standing seam metal roof from Elgert Metal Roofing and flat paneled in Galvam to match existing. The applicant proposes to construct a two-story addition at an existing side rear addition, as seen here in the rendering. The proposed new addition's north facade will have one operable window and one fixed window. The applicant also seeks to reglaze the front entry door, and the applicant seeks to repair the front porch flooring with 1x6 tongue and groove boards and the porch ceiling. The proposed addition's east facade will have 3 operable windows. One new window will be installed in the existing dwelling on the second story, as you can see in the bottom image. The applicant proposes the following changes along the rear facade of the dwelling: to install 2 new windows with shutters and the new proposed addition on the second story, and then enclose the first story screened-in porch and remove 1 fixed octagonal window. The applicant proposes to construct a 1-story breezeway between the garage and enclosed porch. The breezeway will have 2 paired doors on its east and west facades. The applicant proposes the following changes to the west facade: construct a 1-story bay at the south end of the dwelling with 3 operable windows. Install 1 operable window in the second story of the addition. And the applicant proposes to install doors in the new enclosed porch to the exterior. The doors will be mahogany, single-panel, half-light doors with clear glazing. The applicant proposes the following changes to the detached garage: to install a Juliet balcony with doors on the front facade. The doors will be mahogany, single light panel doors paired and painted. The balcony and balustrade columns to match the existing. They'll install a new window on the west elevation and remove a westernmost window on the north facade. They'll enclose a portion of the second-story garage and install 2 new garage doors. The garage doors shall be Coplay 8 foot wide by 8 foot high flush steel doors painted white to match the trim. The applicant proposes to remove the permeable concrete lattice pavers and install a concrete pad. Remove 2 trees at the southwest eastern corner of the property. Construct a new dining gazebo in the western side yard. Install a new brick-edged garden walkway and ground-level water feature in the western side yard. And construct a new brick wall with iron gate along the northern portion of the western yard. They'll replace the existing concrete retaining wall with a brick row-lock top wall and install a new brick pad at the base of the stairs along the front facade. Staff notes the existing 2-story garage is not historic. Staff notes that current sided brickyard wall and landscaping were constructed sometime in around 1988. Staff notes that the large trees in the south portion of the property are causing damage to the existing retaining wall and impose a public safety hazard. Staff notes that existing front door features etched glazing in both the door and the transom and is not appropriate to the district. Staff would like to enter the report in tonight's record.
Any questions for Jessica?
Jessica, I didn't, excuse me, I didn't see anything in the plans about heights of the new masonry and metal gates and walls and things like that. Were they all less than 6 feet?
I don't believe those were provided for me. They're currently 6 feet, the one wall that's there. And the gate has been removed at some point.
Oh, okay.
You can see in the corner there, those like statues. That's where the current brick wall is. Those
Okay.
like cherubs or something.
Let me understand. So the current knee wall that goes on 7th and Chestnut's going to be removed and brick is going to go there?
That's my interpretation of the plan, yes.
That's what I just want to make clear on that. Okay.
I think that's partially due because the tree there, one of the trees there beside the northernmost tree by the driveway is causing a lot of damage to that wall and is also creating some public safety hazards with the power lines.
What about the magnolia tree right on the corner?
My understanding is there's no plans to remove that at this time.
Okay, because that, yeah, okay.
Do you have a can, a photo or anything of the tree that you're talking about that's a public hazard?
I don't know. I don't have one available right now. I can pull one up, but I don't have one available. But staff has visited the site multiple times and has photos on record of the tree.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, could the applicant come forward to provide any additional evidence or answer questions? Just put your, just say your name and address so we can get it in the record.
Sure, it's Ashley Cameron, 614 Market Street. I'll answer two questions. The Magnolia is staying, and the new brick wall is going to be 4 feet, as well as the wrought iron gates.
Okay.
Any questions?
Sometimes we ask for some element of differentiation. I mean, the design did so well at matching the existing features as they're called out, as they're illustrated here for us. Is there anything with this that you see that differentiates the addition, the second story addition, from the rest of the house?
What's that? Oh.
My understanding is the corbels at the top are going to be not as,
Sir, can you please speak into the microphone?
Can I?
my understanding is the corbels at the top on the addition will not be as ornate as the existing
okay.
house.
Okay.
And it looks like the spacing is a little wider too, at least that's how it's drawn.
Is there a detail on that? Do you know in the drawings anywhere that we can take a look at?
If you look at the first page of the submission, I don't know, this page, you can see in the renderings, the existing house is 2 corbels, whereas the addition is single corbels.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Anyone else have questions for the applicant?
I mean, I'm sorry, back to the tree, you do realize in the future that magnolia tree will be destructive. Those roots will keep growing. I mean, not that I love trees, but that position right there. I guess you can always come back later. Okay.
I think you want the owners want to keep the tree for now, so
Okay,
we'll cross that
fine.
bridge in the future.
Fine,
Yeah.
okay. And I think a different corbel will denote that that is an addition. I mean, it's not totally matched. People won't think that's an original part of the house.
It looks like it has some distinction to it. It looks like it has some distinction to it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'll remember and open up the public portion for comment or questions. No? Then I will close the public portion of the hearing, and we'll move to commissioner deliberation.
Seems good to me. I dig it.
Can someone explain about the front door? You brought up that it's incorrect or was replaced.
The current front door has full lights that are etched with dolphins or something, and the transom also, the numbers are dolphins, and they just want to put in clear glass.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
All right, I think we're ready for a motion then?
Move to approve the request to make exterior alterations, construct a second-story facade, make site improvements, and adopt the proposed findings of fact. Details as shown in the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application, and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless noted otherwise. This motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in the staff report 1 through 11. The proposed request with the conditions does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks and is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic building and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district residential as a whole. Applicable design standards 1.6, Secretary of the Interior standards, can I say 1 through 10? Melissa? I'm going to go with this. 2.1, landscaping standards 1 through 5. 2.3, fences and walls standards 1, 2, 4, 6, and 9. 2.4, walkways, driveways, and off-street parking standards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. 2.5, garages, carriage houses, and accessory structures standards 1 through 6. 2.6, decks and swimming pools standards 1 through 7. 3.1, roofs standards 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 3.2, windows and doors standards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. 3.3, mason stone, standards 1 through 4. 3.5, exterior walls and decorative woodwork, standards 1 through 7. 3.6, porches and entrances, standards 1 through 7. 3.8, exterior color, standards 1 through 6. 4.1, additions, standards 1 through 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's passed. The next item on the agenda is 710 Grace Street.
The applicant for 710 Grace Street seeks the approval of the installation of vinyl windows. 710 Grace Street was built circa 1904. The L-shaped cottage with a pyramid roof and gable front is 4 bays wide and 2 bays deep. Archive descriptions note it once had a central entry door with a transom, a front porch, and 2/2 sash windows. Today, it has a central door with a 4/4 sash windows that adorn the front facade. The subject property is located at the south side of Grace Street between North 7th and McRae Streets. The building is a non-contributing resource to the Historic District residential. Revisions to all facades of a building and the site are subject to design review in this district. The applicant seeks to remove the 10 double-hung wood windows that have a 4/4 sash on all 4 sides of the building, and install new white double-hung West Shore Home vinyl windows with grills between the glass mullions. And to be aware, the examples on the screen right now that were submitted show a 4/4 sash, but the applicant's narrative stated that the vinyl windows will have a 2/2 sash. The existing wood windows are not original to the property and were installed earlier this year as a condition to the approval for COA MJW 2226. The prior owners sought HPC approval for several after-the-fact alterations, including the installation of 1/1 sash vinyl windows. HPC denied the vinyl windows and approved the following condition. All windows shall be replaced with wood, 2/2 windows in the current size. All windows shall have simulated divide lights. All glass shall be clear with no tint. In January 2022, the prior property owners requested that the final inspection for MJW 2226 be done without including the windows, which was to be scheduled after their installation at a later date. The final inspection was signed off on in April in 2022 without the windows, and no inspection was ever scheduled for the windows. Staff confirmed that the windows are wood during the site visit in September. Staff notes that the applicant submitted an air quality report and has expressed that the poor installation of the current windows has caused mold to grow inside the dwelling. The design standards do not differentiate between contributing and non-contributing structures and state that vinyl-clad windows are not appropriate in the historic districts. HPC has denied vinyl windows for this property in the past. However, the HPC has approved vinyl window replacements in non-contributing dwellings, as pictured on the screen. In April 2022, HPC approved vinyl windows on the front facade of 310 North 6th Street. And in August 2022, for 103 Ann Street, vinyl windows were approved for the front and back facades. Staff would like to enter the staff report in its entirety into the record of tonight's proceedings at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I'm sorry, Megan, something with this file isn't loading properly on my,
It is very large, yes.
yeah, it might be what it is, but what was the age of the house again, this dwelling?
The building was,
Or when was it built?
it was constructed in 1904 initially. What is now you have like a second roof coming off from the main body on the front facade. That's an infilled front porch.
But the structure itself was 1904, 1906, something like that? Okay.
Yes. It's considered non-contributing due to the changes to it from the front porch, from the front porch infillment.
Yeah, the porch was infilled prior to when the National Register report was created. So it's been infilled for a significant amount of time.
Okay.
And so I need to kind of make sure I understand this. There was a COA for this particular, different applicant, but for this particular piece of property, and they got approval from the HPC to replace the windows.
Yes, initially they had asked, because they put the vinyl windows in without a COA, and they had asked to keep them, and they were denied that and told to put in wood windows, and so that took them a little longer than the rest of everything else in their project. So my understanding is that's why they requested a delay on the code enforcement coming out to review the windows, but asked them to do the final inspection for everything else ahead of time.
So then so what type of windows are in there now? Vinyl?
Wood.
Wood, okay. And the little shutters and the trim work around there, was that part of the approval process?
From April, you mean?
I mean, have those been approved, or?
Yes.
Okay, that trim work and those shutters.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we did approve that type of work in our April meeting with what's installed now with those?
My understanding is that everything that's up there passed final inspection, and that the only thing that has not been reviewed is the windows themselves. So the trim and shutters would have been reviewed.
It was all after the fact, is my understanding.
I don't either.
So this is what they brought to you
Take
asking
off those
approval for,
overhangs.
and what was denied.
We had them remove those things over the windows and
Yes.
replace the light
Right.
because they were not congruous with anything anywhere, but there were no
shutters.
there were no shutters, and there were no thick things around the windows.
Right.
Okay, I would have to talk then to code enforcement to confirm
Yeah,
if
it's
the
in
shutters
the,
were,
on the. s-
were there when
site.
they
It's on the
approved
sheet,
it.
Yeah. We didn't.
I guess my question is this. I don't think from the very copious pictures that came with this, I don't see where it matters if the windows were wood, metal, vinyl, or anything else. When it comes to the moisture infiltration, there's multiple cracks. I mean, poor workmanship on a tremendous amount of the exterior of the building, where a lot of water has to be coming in. I mean, I think a few tubes of caulk will go a long way here, but I mean, the windows themselves per se, I just don't see where they're a problem. You know, and everything I went through, which is, it's got to be a record for a number of pictures on any application.
That may be a question best asked to the applicant.
Okay.
They were the ones who wanted the vinyl windows.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Please state your name and address so we can get it in the record.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Karina Schultz, 710 Gray
Ma'am,
Street.
you're going to need to pull the microphone down.
I'm short. Karina Schultz, 710 Gray Street.
Thank you.
Yes, so to answer your question, sir, if you looked at the mold report, which I'm sure you did, the cause of the moisture in the home was due to the installation and the size of the windows that were installed into the home.
The installation on the what? I didn't hear the
The
last.
windows,
Okay, but installation means the way they were installed, not per se the windows. Are the windows open? Are the windows letting water in? Or is it the poor, it seems to me this is more a contractor issue than it is a material issue here.
they're the improper size for the home, and they were improperly installed, sir.
Okay.
Have you spoken to your contractor about this issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you had the work done, or you bought it with the work already done?
I'm sorry?
You bought the house with the work already done?
The work was done after the fact. I purchased the home in April, and based on the timing, I knew in my contract that the windows would be done after the fact.
Oh,
So I purchased the house in April, and the windows were installed between May 24th and June 2nd.
but you didn't have that work, you didn't pay for that, that was a condition of the sale of the home, and so the seller did that work for you, even though it was after the closing, it was part of the contract, and they had their contractor, or whatever you want to call the person, come back in and install these
Correct,
windows.
sir.
So their incentive for doing a really bang-up nice job wasn't really there, unfortunately.
Well, how did the shutters and that trim, how was that added to the windows? I mean, how did that come about? Because it was not approved, and so who made the decision to change that?
Hello.
Oh, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I found the specific COA for the shutters. They were approved back in January 12, 2022, as part of a minor works permit. They were approved under minor works 22100 back in January of this year.
I think that's something between code enforcement. I don't know if that's I mean, it's, at this point, I don't think the shutters are a commission issue. I think that's a code enforcement issue. I think the issue at hand is, we're not necessarily giving legal advice, but it does seem like that this is something to pursue the seller for.
Understood, and I appreciate that.
Ma'am, you're going to need to come closer to the microphone.
I'm sorry. Understand, and I appreciate that. My purpose and role here today is to get approval for vinyl windows so that I can hire a company like West Shore Windows, and they are historically appropriate in the 2/2. They will look like wood, but I will have one company who both manufactures them, who will install them, who will guarantee the work that they do. And that is ultimately what I'm coming to you here today for.
But just the same, you could hire a company to install wood windows that are properly. I mean, I think our intent is for you to install these windows is a wood product, not a vinyl product. And West Shore or whoever the company is, this isn't the only company that installs windows.
Understood. I would greatly appreciate having
vinyl windows that I had on my home. As mentioned earlier, I know that you have approved vinyl windows for non-contributing homes. Unlike the windows that were installed in the home that were, with no lights in them, these will be 2/2 windows, and I will have a well-known company that has a great track record that will be licensed and have end-to-end ownership of both making the windows, installing the windows. They will have a warranty on both their work and the windows themselves.
What is it that makes this house non-contributing? How does that? I'm confused because it was built in 1904. It probably looks substantially like it did in 1904, except for maybe a couple additions and
That's it right there.
Stuff like that.
Based on the National Register's listing, it is because of the porch and fill on the front facade.
Additionally, I don't see it up here, but the house was green, vinyl siding before they purchased the home, and it did look a lot different and a lot less historic, and that may be why.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank
So
you.
let me understand again. It's still, so the picture we see here is your house today, correct? That's how it
Yes.
looks right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you want to take those windows out and replace them with vinyl windows? And these windows are less than a year old, is that correct?
The windows, I'm sorry?
Less than a year old? You said they rehabbed it and you bought the house about a year ago?
I bought it in April, sir.
Okay. But the
and-
windows were new when you purchased the house, correct?
Correct. The windows that were in my house when I purchased the home were new, and
Okay.
these windows are also new, but the incorrect size for the home and the installation.
Now, when you say the incorrect size, I'm not sure what you mean by that. They didn't fit the hole, or they're bigger than the hole that was there, or?
I can't go into detail in that. I think some of that is written in the mold report.
So you're telling us that they enlarge, when they put in the wooden windows, they enlarged the openings?
They are too small for the home.
They're too small for the opening? Are you saying then that they're leaking?
Yes, ma'am. That's what caused
There's
the mold.
air leakage, yeah.
That is the cause of the mold.
The windows are too small for the hole that was there.
Correct.
So how would the windows be too big for the home?
I didn't say they were too big. I said they were too small. If you look at, can I flip on here? Can I move? Yeah, so if you look at the trim, for example, you see it's wide. And then if you go back to this picture, you'll see the trim is significantly different size. I don't know if that means anything to you, but.
So, part of my question is, and I don't know, Christopher says it's code enforcement, but I'm not sure that it's not, HPC enforcement, because
Correct.
If this is what was approved, and I can't be honest, can't really remember, whatever staff could pull all that up, but if we approve that with certain conditions, such as remove the shed over the windows there, how then did your house in its current condition get much wider trim and all that different look? I mean.
Yes, sir. So this is not the house I purchased, but the same windows were there when I got there. And again, that trim got larger when those wood windows were installed in my home.
But this is your house, right?
That is
we're
my
looking
house.
at, okay.
Yeah.
And this is what was approved, is that correct, staff? I mean, is this?
No, I don't know what order these are in. This is my home today. I don't know if there's a picture of the home, no, from the real estate listing. So, that's my home. My intent is to comply and keep the historic nature of the home. The windows will look great, the trim will go back. They just won't be wood, but the appearance will look very similar.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but, okay, so the trim is wider, so did they fur out the sides of the window? You keep saying these are small windows. Were the windows so small they had to put extra wood around it to install them? Or is that what you're, I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
That's what it looked like to me, but again, I am not a contractor.
Okay. Because, I mean, obviously, then they would have to put a wider trim board just to hide what they did.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, that they didn't cut the siding, so where the trim, the casing meets the siding, that edge stayed the same. They put something in wider because they had to fill in more because the windows were too small, too narrow, and in some cases too short too.
So I wouldn't think that changing the window to a different product would help if it's the wrong size window. It needs to be the right size window that is wood.
Right.
New windows would have to be probably the windows that they took out when they put these windows in, you know, the larger window. I can see what you're saying.
I know,
there.
and some of this is really beyond our purview, I think, but I really feel that regardless of what is decided here tonight, that you really need to talk to the person who sold you this piece of property. I mean, really, and have an attorney talk with you when you go to talk to this person, because, I mean, that's just my advice, but it's something that you should consider.
You're asking us for a workaround, unfortunately, and I hate this for you, but you're asking us for a workaround to compensate for something that was a result of the seller not doing the right thing.
To be clear, I'm not asking for a workaround. I'm just asking for a replacement with vinyl windows. That's all.
Thanks.
Could you not install like something like Gen Weld wood window in the proper size? They're excellent windows. Why does it have to be vinyl? That's one of the issues here, vinyl.
I think that's the only issue.
The only issue.
Like I said, that's my plea to you today, and like I said, I have a contractor company that's well respected that can do it end to end, and that's ideally what I need to happen, so I have confidence that this won't happen again.
Did the contractor that you're thinking about hiring do the mold inspection also, or was that a different person?
No, as you can see from I think it's in your package.
Right, I saw the photographs, but
that was from a professional mold assessment
Okay.
company.
And his assessment, did he state the source of the mold? I mean, mold is due to 3 different factors that you have to have mold grow, but did he say it's the windows that's causing it?
Yeah, I believe that's noted in the report, that the windows were the primary cause, causing high humidity in my home.
I didn't read every sentence in
It's
the report.
long.
Right,
I know, it's
but
long.
however, what he may have been referring to is the fact that the windows were too small for the existing hole, therefore that allowed too much infiltration, and a different product, vinyl versus wood, in my opinion, is not going to rectify that problem. It would be the same problem because the small windows are still in a big hole. And
To be clear, I'm not stating that the wood windows, whether it was wood or vinyl, if it was
Right.
improper, but my ask is, based on the home being non-contributing and it being passed in the, passed
Right.
before, that I can feel confident with an end-to-end provider of both providing the manufacturing, installation, and so forth, where that would be unlikely to happen with wood windows. And the turnaround time for getting them would be significantly less to get them.
Just out of curiosity, have you talked to the seller about this issue? I mean,
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. The cost of those windows, regardless of what you do, is going to be a lot of money, and it's a shame to me to see you up here as a new homeowner with a very cute little house, and that you're going to have to do this at no fault of your own, regardless of how the outcome of this is, and so. But anyway, I feel sorry for the predicament that you're in at no fault of yourself, so, yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
well, thank you.
I appreciate that, but I need to remediate my home, and what I've been waiting for over 2 months is to get hopefully a decision, hopefully one in my favor, so that I can order these windows and then start remediating my home because it's unsafe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
We'll now open the evidentiary portion to members of the public, if anyone would like to come forward.
Good evening, everybody. Steve had a phenomenal realtors course last Friday. I'm still getting phone calls about great feedback, so thank you.
You're welcome, but what's your name and address?
Travis Gilbert, Historic Wilmington Foundation, 211 Orange. Thank you. I don't get to have announcements, so I gotta sneak them in. I just want to point out and read for the record the reasoning in the National Register application that this is a non-contributing structure due to integrity. There's an important detail that I think is missing from the record. Has lost integrity due to porch enclosure, which removed former miscellaneous Victorian details. To me, that infers the integrity is not lost because the porch is enclosed. It means that the integrity has been lost because there are no longer those miscellaneous Victorian details that are the result of the porch being enclosed. Furthermore, when you look in both the ancient application from 1975, in which this was first a data point, and in the 2003 boundary increase, there are dozens of examples of structures that are contributing that have their porches enclosed. So that furthers the point that it is not non-contributing because of the porch being enclosed, it is because that resulted in the loss of these miscellaneous Victorian details. Now, for evidence, when you look at the staff's application, the best picture we have is that historic 1999 facade from the city archives. Notably, a miscellaneous Victorian detail has been restored in the current facade, and one might assume that Victorian detail was not exposed when this first was surveyed in 1975, and that is in your gable here with the decorative shingling that was covered up by vinyl siding, one would assume in 1975 when this was entered as non-contributing. You can put that in the category that that feature has been restored. When the other two applicants that were non-contributing came before you in 2022, both those structures were built beyond the period of significance for our National Register Historic District, the Wilmington Historic District. One was in the 90s, and one was a little bit earlier than that, but still after the period of significance. This, however, was built during the period of significance for our National Register Historic District. Through this commission's efforts and staff, we know that City Council appropriated funds to resurvey the National Register Historic District this year. One may assume this being eligible due to its age, but ineligible due to its integrity. One could assume with the restoration of certain features, it could once become contributing again, eligible for historic preservation tax credits, and contributing to the district as a whole. So I just want to enter those pieces of evidence into the record and for your consideration. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting.
Any other members of the public would like to comment?
Good evening. I'm Georgia Savis. I live at 612 Grace Street. I'm a neighbor.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Were you sworn in before? I did not see you stand.
I had my hand up, but I was crouched. My leg was bugging me. Sorry about that. I live at 612 Grace Street. Karina is a new neighbor of ours, and we've kind of gone through this journey and heard her saga. Two things that I don't know that were mentioned. The wood windows that they put in are single pane, and I think that's why she's had so much mold. She's been worried over these last 2 months because her health has gotten compromised. She told me she had an air conditioner and a dehumidifier running in the summer, and it was still 77% humidity. The other thing was, at one point, there were 1 or 2 windows, I'm not sure how many, that were vinyl in the structure. So at one point, it did have vinyl in some of the windows. Just wanted you to be aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That closes the evidentiary portion for public comments, and we'll move to commissioner deliberation.
Since we last saw this in April, I wouldn't have thought that this would be the result, or at least I wouldn't have hoped that this would be the result. Not just the casing width in these shutters, but obviously the installation of the windows. I think the initial problem was that the sizing, when they went out to the site, took measurements and then ordered these from the factory. They got from the factory onto the site, and then they started to put them in, and someone probably had a oh shoot moment and realized that they had to compensate in a couple of ways. But you know, in order to, I think in hopes of this thing being contributing again, doesn't seem like it's that far away at this point with some modifications, but I feel for where you are with this right now, I'm not inclined to approve a new vinyl window personally.
I feel, you know, we did this.
Ms. Wilson, if you could speak into the microphone.
We did this on good faith, and they were not installed properly. Hopefully, there was an inspector or some sort of situation where, you know, the money was withheld. But this is beyond our, you know, saying vinyl windows are going to help when you installed the wrong size is not going to.
It's proper selection and proper installation, not the vinyl. The vinyl isn't going to do anything.
No.
Someone want to make a motion then? Read a motion? You find it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of like, it's a terrible situation. I mean, I remember the history, the 2 men who did the work, and so much they had to change after the fact because we did not approve it. And one of the conditions was to put wood windows in, and they pleaded because they could not get wood windows because of all the supply problems. You know, again, I think in good faith we expected them to put in a decent wood window the proper size. So really, the issue I see here is very poor contractors, not the fact that they're wood and not vinyl. Okay. Make sure I got the right straight. I move with conditions I move to deny the request to install vinyl windows and to adopt the proposed findings of fact. Details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statements contained in the application and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are a part of this request unless otherwise noted. The motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff reports, including the findings of facts. The following, well, I guess it's denied, so there are no conditions. The proposed request does not comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Land.
I'm sorry, Stephen, could we?
I'm sorry.
You would have to reopen the evidentiary hearing if the commission was so inclined to do so before you could hear from the applicant again.
Okay. Let's reopen the evidentiary portion.
Just to clarify when I said, oh, sorry. Just to clarify when I said it would be much longer to get the wood windows, we're talking about over, 5 months or longer for wood as opposed to 6 to at max, but unlikely 10 weeks for the vinyl windows. And I have a, again, like I said, this is about the windows, but I am going to have to move out of my home very shortly with further destruction and deterioration. Again, just putting that out there. Sorry to interrupt your voting.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Stephen, the other thing I wanted to inquire about was to keep this applicant from having to come back again and that delay that might take 1 to 2 months to come back again with, in case this is denied, but to keep the applicant from coming back again to get approval for something else, is there a way that we can just go back to that decision in April and say you can just do it to that standard that we approved in April that allows, just get it done to the way we approved it in April, then they wouldn't have to come back to save time.
I think you could make that a condition. Well, it wouldn't be a condition because you're just denying the certificate of appropriateness. Yeah. The old certificate of appropriateness, we may be able to work something out with staff if they're bringing in wooden windows that are properly installed. I think the problem with this one is that the staff did not inspect these windows because the seller did not contact staff after they were installed. So these windows have not been inspected by staff, were not approved by staff as a part of that old certificate of appropriateness.
So it's possible that the applicant wouldn't have to come back in front of us again and go through the application for changing this, because I think this is going to need to be changed sooner or later.
If she installed wood windows to replace the current wood windows, then at staff level, we can do that. The reason she's here today is because there are currently wood windows in there. Whether they are installed properly or not was not my determination to make. But there are currently wood windows in there, and the reason she is here today is because she wants to put in vinyl. Several steps back, there was vinyl. Y'all asked to put in wood. This is the wood, and now we're here.
Okay.
Continue where I left off. The proposed request with conditions does not comply with Wilmington Design Standards for the historic districts and landmarks, is not compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic district buildings and the historic district in which it is located, and is not congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic residential as a whole. Applicable standards, 1.6, Secretary of the Interior Standards, standards 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3.2, windows and doors standards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 13. 3.9, utilities and energy retrofits standards 1, 2, and 10.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda, the applicant has requested withdrawal And so I move to approve the request to remove item 4 from the agenda and ask for a second so we can get that into the minutes.
Second.
All approve?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll take a short break and come back and work on the, unless, oh, wait a second, Ron. Do you want us to continue until 7 and then we can take a break while you go?
Well, that would be perfect.
Okay, we'll continue on then until, see how much we can get done before 7 when Mr. Wilson has to leave.
Okay.
All right, so we'll run to the next item on the agenda, number 5, which is 108 South 2nd Street.
I'm going to recuse myself from this item.
Okay.
All right. The applicant proposes to modify the proposed approved MJW 20-5, a COA for the construction of a 4-story infill project with modifications to the facade design and floor plans. The project is located on the west side of South 2nd Street between Dock and Orange Streets. The site is in the Central Business District, Historic District overlay, and only changes to the buildings and grounds that can be seen from the public right-of-way are subject to design review in accordance to the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks. The applicant seeks to modify the west facade by relocating and recessing the main entry and to accommodate the removal of retail space on the ground floor. They look to modify the wood storefront to match 101 South 2nd Street across the street. The storefront windows will be gin-weld wood storefront windows painted Benjamin Moore garden path, also to match the building across the street. The applicant proposes to modify the decorative brickwork at the 3rd floor, and the applicant proposes to install a drainable exterior installation finish system with a stucco finish on the 4th floor, as well as modify the windows, lintels to match the lower story Juliet balconies. The applicant seeks to modify the following changes on the Church Alley side, south facade. To modify the 1st-story window and door openings by removing a wrought iron arched doors at the 1st floor rear section of the facade and replace with double utility doors with a partial light. The applicant seeks to install 3 new windows on this floor. On the 1st floor, the applicant seeks to modify the brickwork to match the front east facade, unifying the design. The applicant seeks to create a recessed bay at a power service area in the western rear portion of the 1st story. And the applicant seeks to install 1 full light door and matching side light, and remove storefront glazing and install 1 window at the eastern portion of the 1st floor.
I have a quick question for you, please, on that slide.
Sure.
The lower slide on the right-hand side appears different than the existing, the spacing of the windows. Is this part of the application that they're?
On the 1st floor there? Yeah, as I
Well,
mentioned,
yeah, where the
that's where they're
storefront
changing
is, and then
things.
you have 2 little balconies, and the spacing of those windows are much different. I don't know how they can be if they're not adding.
I think they were just actually properly designed to the size that, I think my interpretation is that the upper drawing was just a rendering as kind of an idea, and this is more actuality to what the building materials are.
Well, what did we approve last time?
What you see above there on the top.
Okay.
Ask about the change in the width.
So that area that we're looking at has gotten larger, right? It's gotten wider. I mean, my perception in looking at the drawings is that it's gotten larger. Is that correct? or
Windows
not?
look wider apart there.
Yeah.
But we can ask them when they,
I think that's a question for the applicant when you get there, but my interpretation again is that the upper drawing is more of just a rendering conceptual idea, while the lower drawings are actual dimensions and sizes of actual products.
All right, thank you.
The applicant seeks to make the following changes to the rear west facade, and that's remove window openings on all floors of the southern portion of the facade install a louvered vent at the southern portion of the first floor, and modify the brickwork to match the front and side facades. The applicant seeks to make the following changes to the north side of the facade. Recess the entry stair at the northern portion of the facade and add a decorative column to delineate the recess. And remove the westernmost window openings and recess the entire bay. Recess the corridor wall on all floors at the center of the facade, and recess the southwest bay to accommodate the neighboring building, and modify the brick design to match the other facades. So here you can see the plan, they're recessing those areas that follow up in yellow, just for clarification. Lastly, the applicant seeks to remove the approved roof screen and then use a higher 3-foot parapet to provide screening of the mechanical equipment along the roof. Staff notes that the overall height of the building does not change. Staff notes that no other materials except what is listed in this report will change. Staff notes the square footage of the building has not changed. Staff notes that many of the changes are to comply with the Technical Review Committee standards, and the staff notes that the applicant is in the permitting process for encroachment permits needed on all balconies, and staff would like to enter tonight's report in its entirety for the record at this time.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward, please, and provide additional information?
My name is John Murray. My address is 514 Market Street. I'm with Bowman Murray Hemingway Architects, representing the applicant. Thank you for going through that packet. I know it was large. Staff did a really good job with their analysis. There's a lot of information in there. Really, the revisions that you're looking at are minor. This is the third time this has come before the commission. They are related primarily to some revisions that we made to refine the area after the upper floor shifted inward. It was a material change from brick to stucco to lighten that up just a little bit. We also had to deal with some building code requirements related to where windows could be placed proximate to property lines. In some cases, windows had to be removed. We also had some exiting issues. We're exiting to the public way where exits were recessed in this application. So really everything is, for the most part, a technical requirement. We've had to meet the building code that have resulted in some revisions to that elevation.
Well, in answer to, maybe I'll pose you the question. I know that staff said it was a rendering, but you said the size of the building, obviously that was just maybe a glitch in how the thing was drawn, or?
We haven't had a building size change. The only thing we've had is we've had the entry shift inwards. If you notice, it's actually, in my opinion, it's an improvement.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And one other item I wanted to bring, I know you may have some questions, but we're currently working with the city. There's a 1-foot encroachment that we believe is permitted for those Juliet balconies. We'd like for those balconies to be functional, and we would like to pursue that encroachment. But I wanted to make sure that the commission also was in favor of us pursuing that with city staff.
Yeah, I think they'd look nice myself, but.
Soften it.
We've seen this building so many times, we're like, the architectural cost might be more than actually building it soon at the rate you're going.
It's been highly rendered, yes.
The soft opening.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll open the evidentiary portion to members of the public in case anyone wants to comment. Okay, thank you. We'll move to commissioner deliberations.
All right. I motion to approve the request to modify the previously approved COA for MJW 20.5 and to adopt and propose findings of fact. Details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in the application and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. The motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the applicant's submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in Staff Report 1 through 10. And the following additional conditions. The proposed request with conditions does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for historic districts and landmarks, is compatible with materials, features, design, context, and character of historic building and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, historic aspects of historic district residential as a whole.
Commissioner Wilson, if I can just stop you right there, I've spoken with our planning director, and we don't think you need to read out in the entirety the applicable design standards. The entire report has been adopted into the record, so that may save us a little bit of time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Yermel, for bringing it up a little while ago. I apologize for the interruption.
I'm finished.
Then
I'm
could I hear
done.
a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any? No? Then the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is 114 Nunn Street. If staff would present the report, please.
Okay. 114 Nunn Street, the applicant proposes to make some exterior alterations. 114 Nunn Street was built circa 1885 in the late Italianate style with Gothic cottage-style details and a pyramidal hipped roof. The two-story, three-bay wide house features a one-story full-width porch, and the porch has chamfered columns and a decorative molded capitals, a turned balustrade, and carved trefoil pattern architrave, and a cornice, as well as paired brackets. The first floor has elongated divided windows, and the front entry features half-glazed side lights with decorative panels, a colored glass transom, and half-light, as well as two paneled half-light doors with colored glass design. And a two-paneled half-light door with a colored glass design. Sorry, this house is busy. The second story features a projecting central square bay. The bay also protrudes from the roof line and features 1/1 windows, raised and recessed panels, dental molding, two hyperbolic arched divided clear-story windows, and a decorative finial on the roof. The dwelling also features cornice vents and decorative brackets along the roof line. The subject property is located on the south side of Nunn Street between South Front and South 2nd Streets. The subject property is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential, and all facades of the building and the site are subject to design review in this district. The applicant proposes the following changes to the north front facade. To replace the front entry door, side light, and transoms, the new door will be a mahogany half-light door with two bottom panels, and new side light and transoms will have simulated divided lights. The applicant proposes the following changes to the rear south facade. To remove and replace the existing double-height sunroom windows, the second-story window will be a gin-weld twin casement Orlas wood window in bone white to match the existing adjacent. The new door will be a gin-weld sightline wood French-style door with simulated divided lights and a transom. All infill will be lap siding to match the existing, and then we'll remove an existing rear deck, install a new rear deck that will be pressure-treated pine on grade. The applicant seeks on the east side of the facade to remove a non-original octagonal first-story window and remove first and second-story sunroom windows. The new window at the first story will be gin-weld Orlas wood, double-hung 2/2 wood with simulated divided lights in bone white, and infill siding will match existing. The applicant seeks along the west side to install one window at the southern edge of the facade. Staff notes the large plate glass rear windows are not original to the home, and staff cannot confirm if the colored glass entry door, side lights, and transoms are original to the home. Staff notes a bypass application has been approved for paint and siding repairs to the dwelling, and staff notes the house has a preservation easement with Historic Wilmington Foundation, and all drawings and alterations have been reviewed and approved by Historic Wilmington Foundation. Staff would like to enter tonight's report in its entirety to the record.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, thanks. If the applicant would like to come forward, please.
Good evening. Nick Balding, Balding Design Build. Our principal offices are at 402 Carl Street. An exciting project. This house is in need of some love, and we've put a good bit of work into putting a plan together for the owners to do so. Just want to comment on the finding of fact number 10 in your packet, and that the existing door is not original to the home. If you look through your packet, you can see in the subsequent photographs from City Archives from 1974, it shows two separate front entry doors, presumably to two separate apartments, just evidence that that's not an original door to the structure, and we plan on replacing it. Because of the fact that it is not original to the structure, the stained glass not being original to the structure and so badly deteriorated that we request the removal of condition number 4, calling for the stained glass to be salvaged, donated, or reinstalled. Open your interpretation on the stained glass, but I just don't see the value in donating it or saving it. So, other than that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from anyone?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. We'll open the evidentiary portion to members of the public who might want to comment or provide evidence to us. Okay, then we will close the evidentiary portion and open up commissioner deliberation. Beautiful. Good. Okay, would someone like to read a motion for me?
What about the letter H? Is that going to be removed?
The condition?
No, the letter on the house, the big H on the house.
It's already gone, isn't it?
And then it does have a plaque, but what does the other sign above the plaque say?
George Washington slept here?
Yeah, exactly. No, so the H is decoration. I don't know. That's their first initial, or first letter of their last name, so it's just decoration. It could be removed. I don't think it's planned to be. The one above the Historic Wilmington Foundation plaque will be removed. It's a contractor's previous sign.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Going once, going twice? Okay.
You're talkative tonight.
Except for condition 4, where we had the transom would be salvaged and donated and stuff, we can get rid of condition 4 because it's not in any condition to be salvaged.
Is Legacy interested in this at all, or? Okay.
Yeah.
Where are we here? So what are my conditions 1 through 3 and 5 and 6 you want here? All right, let's give it a shot. I move to approve the request to make exterior alterations and renovations and to adopt the proposed findings of fact. Details are shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statements contained in the application and the supplemental materials. Statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. This motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff reports, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth in staff reports 1 through 3, 5, and 6. The proposed request with conditions does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for the historic districts and landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, designs, context, and character of the historic buildings and historic districts in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, street, and historic aspects of the historic residential as a whole. Applicable design standards are in the materials.
A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
Okay. All right, actually, since we're on a roll, is everybody okay? We'll just keep going. So we'll do number 7, 701 Market.
The applicant for 701 Market Street seeks to, sorry, I just realized that wasn't near my mouth. The applicant for 701 Market Street seeks to install composite windows. The office building was built circa 1963 and was significantly altered in 1997. The picture shown on the screen is from before the 1997 alterations and addition. Currently, a neo-colonial revival commercial brick building with a hipped roof that has a one-story front section along Market Street and a two-story rear section. The one-story frontage along Market Street features a hipped roof, entry hood with round fluted columns, and a paneled entry door with side lights. The building also has decorative coins, a brick soldier course, and 16/8 sash wood windows. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of North 7th and Market Streets, with the main entrance facing Market Street. The building is a non-contributing resource in the historic district. Revisions to all facades of a building and the site are subject to design review in this district. The applicant seeks to remove the existing wood windows. These 22 windows were installed as a part of the 1997 major alterations and rear addition project. The windows have a 16/8 sash and single pane glazing. The Tucker Timeless Series 2200 composite windows would be installed on all sides of the building. The windows would have a 16/16 sash, dual pane glazing, and would be 40 inches wide and 56 3/8 inches high. All windows will be constructed with a PVC sash, PVC brick mold, and composite sill and sill nosing with grills between the glass. Windows would be painted Sherwin-Williams West Highland white to match the existing windows. Staff notes the design standards do not differentiate between contributing and non-contributing structures. Composite windows are not specifically referenced in the design standards like vinyl windows are, but if windows are to be replaced, then it is in accordance with the standards that the replacement should match the materials and design of the original windows. Staff would like to enter the staff report in its entirety into the record of tonight's proceedings at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I guess the thing that struck me and is kind of mind-bending, I'm trying to, 16/16, when you got 16/8, I like to hear, because I can't see how the lights would be square, and I mean, yeah.
They are a bit rectangular based on the image provided.
Well, it must be, okay, quite. Yeah, just, trying to squeeze in all those panes into that size. It is what it is, I guess.
I will say that one of the conditions was all windows shall have a 16/8 light pattern, so if you wanted to change that, that would be up to you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward?
Good evening. John Halley, 2309 Linwood Drive. I am the contractor for the agent. A couple of the conditions on 2, if we can go back, can I? There we go. Okay. Along the eastern facade, during that 1997 renovation, there was there's 3 windows to the left of the HVAC unit became, they had to tint those out because an interior wall, they became false windows essentially. So that is one condition I would like to alter, that those three can be tinted on the back side. The 16/8 light pattern that you just spoke about, that is a reverse cottage style. The applicant would like to do even sashes. So rather than 9/9, we want the grills spaced evenly. And I think the
12/12?
12, we could do 12/12, whatever.
That would-
that would work as well.
It just seems, I mean, your pains would be so,
Agree. 12 tests, that's fine.
Down below, and, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I would be agreeable with a 12/12 with a center sash line, with the current size pane lights. I think that would work.
Okay.
Can I ask why the wooden ones that are there now are coming out?
They are completely rotted out.
They are rotten.
Yes.
I looked at them.
They're in very, very bad shape. You could put your finger through all the sills, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Anything 1999 vintage was destined to fail.
Quality.
Any other questions?
Do you have an issue with the condition 3, the simulated divided light, as opposed to the grills between the glass, or SD?
I saw that in there. I mean, we submitted with GBG if the simulated divided light is preferred. That's okay.
Because I saw while I was reading this in the information farther down, that whoever that vendor was, they do have a SDL option for it.
Okay, that's, again, not an
Yeah.
issue.
Okay. Any other questions? No? And can you read the motion, because you'll know about those, the spacers in the window.
Yeah.
How does
It's right there in
everybody say it?
condition 3.
Well, condition 2, except for the 3 false windows, which he would like to have tinted. Because condition 2 now says all windows will have clear glass with no tint applied, and he would like with the exception of the 3 false windows, since they're hiding a wall.
Okay, so except 2,
I'm sorry, you guys are going to need to speak into your microphone and actually speak to the public rather than each other. It's not being picked up for the record.
Okay. So, condition 2 now says, all windows will have clear glass with no tint applied, and we're going to add with the exception of the 3 false windows.
That's perfect, and we can ask the applicant to clarify which ones those are before we fully submit the COA. I don't think he'll mind doing that.
Not at all.
And then on condition 3,
Chair, I think you have to close out and have like the public.
You still
if
need
you
to do
want.
the evidentiary hearing.
oh, I'm sorry. What up in this? Okay, thank you.
Can I get clarification on condition 1? Is 12/12 is what?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, thank you.
You can redo the conditions after you have
Right.
done the evidentiary hearing.
Right,
Thank
okay,
you.
we're straight. Okay, now we'll open up the evidentiary portion to the public for additional evidence or comments. And then we'll close that, and we'll go to deliberations. And since we've already covered the condition that I want changed, we can now talk about the other condition.
for that building seems okay. I move to approve with conditions the request to install composite window and adopt the proposed findings of fact. Details as shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statement contained in this application, and supplemental materials and statements made at this meeting are part of this request unless otherwise noted. This testimony is based on the evidence presented before us, the application submittals, testimony, staff report, including the findings of fact. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards, those set forth In staff report 1 through 5, except for the fact that on condition 1, that will be a 12 over 12 pattern, except number 2, condition 2, the 3 windows on the east side immediately to the south of the condenser unit will be tinted, and condition 3, that the grills will be simulated divided light, or SDL. The proposed request with conditions does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the building and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic district, residential as a whole. Applicable design standards 1.6, Secretary of the Interior standards 1 through 6, 3.2, windows and doors standards 1 through 6.
Here a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Then our last item tonight, the last agenda item is 514 South 4th.
The applicant for 514 South 4th Street seeks to install vinyl windows. The Atkinson House was built circa 1910 and is a 2-story frame dwelling that is 3 bays wide and 5 bays deep, with a front gable roof that displays a diamond-shaped vent and features diamond-cut shingles in the gable. The main entry door is a panel door with a transom in the northernmost bay. Today, the house features a 1-story full-width front porch with a hipped roof supported by paneled columns with molded capitals. According to the archival descriptions, the porch was historically supported by turnposts and enclosed by turn spindle balustrades and had a 6 over 6 sash wood windows. The subject property is located at the west side of South 4th Street between Church and Castle Streets. The building is a contributing resource in the Historic District residential. Revisions to all facades of a building and site are subject to design review in this district. The applicant seeks to install double-hung, 1/1 dual-glazed MGM Industries vinyl windows. They will be the color white to match the trim. All the windows on the front east and rear west facades will be 34 inches wide by 60 inches high. On the side facades in the 2nd story rear windows, highlighted in red on your screens, will be 34 inches wide and 42 inches high. All other side facade windows will be 34 inches by 60 inches. In January 2017, 514 South 4th Street came before the HPC seeking approval of after-the-fact alterations and proposed exterior alterations. At the time, the after-the-fact vinyl windows were not approved, and the installation of new or salvaged double-hung wood windows with a 6 over 6 sash was approved as a condition. Staff notes that currently only storm windows are installed in the window openings. The COA MJW 1725 was inspected and finalized by the historic planner at the time. It is unclear if at the time the windows were installed. The design standards do not differentiate between contributing and non-contributing structures and state vinyl-clad windows are not appropriate in the historic districts. Staff could not locate any previous approvals for the installation of vinyl windows in contributing resources. Staff did locate 2 approvals for vinyl windows to remain with the condition that the properties entered into a preservation agreement with the City of Wilmington to replace the existing vinyl replacement windows with wood windows when the vinyl windows deteriorate and require replacement. Staff would like to enter the staff report in its entirety into the record of tonight's proceedings.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Thank you. Would Would the applicant like to come forward with additional information?
Yeah, I don't actually have much to add other than the previous picture.
I'm sorry, could you give your name and
Oh, yeah,
address
Eric
for the-
Slifkin. And technically, my dad's the applicant. He owns the house. I'm renting it from him until my wife and I can get approved to buy the house from him. But the older, we picked 1/1 because I have no idea anything about Windows. I don't really want to learn about Windows. I'm very busy this year. So I can match the 6/6. Stuff like that's not important. I want to fit with something historical. The choice for vinyl was because in talking with all the people that install Windows, nothing's available for wood in a reasonable amount of time. And it was, months on end wait. And right now with only storm windows, it's not really, like it leaks when like during Ian, I had to send my kid and wife to her mom's to stay, and I was at home like wiping down water coming in. So, but I do want it to, look historic. So if there's something that can be worked out where we can get windows installed in a timely manner that are of good quality, like the windows that we suggested that was the one window person that responded in a reasonable amount of time I know my addition to this docket was a bit late, so it was kind of rushed. But anyway, so I don't know, I imagine that it's as is, wouldn't necessarily fit the standards that you guys are looking for, but I'm hoping to work with you all to get something that can get approved, and so I can get working on getting this installed.
Okay, so apparently we've seen this before where the windows have disappeared and storm windows are the only windows on the house.
Yeah.
This is not a first. So, I mean, obviously the storm windows have been functional for a while. So, and I understand it would take longer possibly get 6/6 wood windows, but are you willing to wait and install 6/6 wood windows?
I guess it depends on what you mean by functional, like water's coming in when it rains.
Through a storm window?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I caulked some where it was, but
right.
It's, and then it's still like, as far as like temperature.
Right,
and
it's not.
So I wouldn't consider them necessarily functional. Maybe there's something, the biggest thing is, especially with Ian passing through a lot of the production of the windows is just even longer than whatever. It's already been a frustrated supply chain, so I don't, if there's, especially because it's 28 windows in total, and all those numbers, when I talk to...
That's a lot of windows, yeah.
Yeah.
I got like 35 in my house, so I know windows. Chris, how long do you think, what is your turnaround on wood like this, windows? What do you guess, 6 months?
Yeah. It's not good. It's
not good.
Yeah, 5 months, 6 months, maybe a little less lately. I'm not we haven't ordered some it's been a little while, but yeah, the last set of windows we ordered that were like Marvin TDL wood windows were, that was about 5 months, yeah.
Oh, I'd also like to point out that when I talked to the Pella, I had got a quote from him. So the wood windows were significantly higher than the vinyl, but whatever, price is whatever it's gonna be. We don't wanna get the cheapest, we wanna get good things. But he also said that in the installation of wood, that the way that they're framed out, it would be a more they might have to remove and change the exterior look with the way the trim is. I don't know. honestly. Like, I don't know, and I don't want to spend my time learning. I want to let professionals just do it. And he was explaining that, you know, it's kind of set up to just slide a vinyl replacement in, and
I think it was set up to get a finished look. It was, I mean, you couldn't set a vinyl window into that opening because chances are it's going to be a little bit out of square. Then you'd have to add this other trim inside and outside to actually waterproof it, make it airtight. But actually, it's an opportunity to take that case, that thickness, that jam. It's an opportunity that's good in your behalf because you can take that out, take the interior casing out, and install a new window with a frame, and you're not as bad off as you might think because of that trim that's installed around the interior. It's not really that bad.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a blessing in disguise, and the casing on the exterior could stay.
I don't know.
Honestly, too, when you get windows, I would not get rid of those storm windows. I mean, at my house, I had $47,000 worth of water damage from Florence.
Yeah.
You know, water blowing through the real windows. So, I mean, the storms have helped me greatly preserve the historic windows.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, I mean, you know, it's not a bad thing to have out
I think
there.
if you have a proper seal of the interior window, then they keep but because these storm windows have whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how well, you can't tell in the pictures how well they're
yeah,
installed.
exactly. Some are better than others. Like I had my handyman come out and apply some caulk on a couple of the ones that were high up where it was leaking pretty badly.
Well,
but
I believe you sat through the evidentiary hearing previously tonight about vinyl windows. I think you got the gist of that. So, yeah. So we're probably looking at wood, and it's just a matter of your timing.
Is there something like some compromise instead of like maybe wood for the front 5, have the 6x6 on all of them, but something where I can get this done sooner rather than, I don't know, the last one said composite, or is there some other, I mean, of course that's a different type of window, so I don't know what are options that.
I think the compromise probably just may lie in getting some plexiglass cut, put it over the interior, screw it to your casing while you wait for windows to get on order.
It's not attractive, but it would help. I mean, even
especially through the winter,
plastic, anything. I mean, you know, they sell kits.
Yeah. I'm from Minnesota, so I'm not worried
just
too
to keep
much
the
about
heat and the cold. Keep the cold out. But
my wife's from LA, so she has a
until
different opinion.
you know, and frankly, a rush project is usually a bad project anyway.
I don't want it to be rushed. I want it to be good, but
well, I mean, take your time and get a good contractor. Good wooden. I mean, you know, I think in the end you're going to be a lot happier. Especially apparently, you said you're buying this house. Well, if it was my house, I'd want it done right.
Yeah, well, my dad already bought it. It's just that with the way the market was going, he was able to get approved for. I still got like ridiculous amounts of student loans, and my wife and I are educators, so we get paid not enough to afford windows like that you're talking about. But you know, we're trying to make it work. So
okay.
I don't know if there's a way to have some sort of conditional something so that we can just have something approved that, you know, that is maybe, I mean, because 28 wood windows, I don't know how we can do that in a reasonable amount of time.
My opinion is that you and your family and the house and the neighbors and the district will be served by just waiting a little long. We're all waiting, you know, or all the contractors are waiting for wood windows and any window, you know, any decent window.
I talked to my neighbors. They're hoping that the vinyls get approved. They don't seem to care. Like the one next to me, they have vinyl. It's a new build, so they can, and it really is like, and it's like, could you just like move the district line to not include my house? Like, it's like 30 feet. 30 feet that's costing me.
We'll take the red pen and, no, we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, actually, like, what's the process for changing that line? Who sets that line? So I got to run for city council, and then,
Pretty much.
and then even then, I probably wouldn't have the votes for. Or I'd have to abstain from that vote, maybe. Or something. Yeah, I don't know, because, like, again, I'm missing it's hard to find time. It happens fall break, so I can actually get away from school for this stuff. But is there anything so that I don't have to sit through the procedure again, where is the only thing that's approved is wood, or is there other options than wood that can?
You don't have to come back to this meeting again, and, you can just, if we put a condition that you're going to be able to do a 6/6 wood window, and then let staff kind of arb it and worry about the little details of that, but as long as it's a wood window in 6/6, so you don't have to come back here.
No. Right. And so I know vinyl is not to standard, composite is also not, is that the case? Fiberglass, not? What's the?
Not on this particular house. This is kind of a treasure downtown, the house that you're
And
living
actually,
in.
what is the year? Because when I bought it, it said 1882
It says 1910.
So 1910, where is that info?
112 years old.
It comes from staff research and the National Register report that was researched by historians prior to that. And then we review old maps.
Okay. And then where can I find, because I've been trying to figure out like who owned it, what was the history of the people that lived here. Some guy that came by when we were doing the foundation work said something about 2 Confederate soldiers lived here post-Reconstruction.
You might want
and I was like confused.
You might want to see Mr. Gilbert back there in the Wilmington Historic Foundation and their records, and also the Carolina Room in the library. You might find information there. They're pretty good at it.
And there's no like online way to do this stuff, because the hard part is like
training to figure it out. But Carolina Room at the New Hanover County Library, they'd steer in the right direction, how to get some basic information. Then you could at some point pursue a plaque and
I don't want the plaque,
hire someone to do all that.
No, I mean,
It's pretty good, though. You can
okay,
look
what
at
are
a bunch of stuff
because
there.
the hours there? That's the hard part for me. Is
That's on the second floor of the library?
main library down
like
there.
main library
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Online too. You can.
I can get it online. Okay, that's what. Because
Yeah,
really, it's like 11 o'clock at night after my kid goes to bed.
Yeah.
Well, usually, and then I have a little time to myself.
There's information online, but you're not going to find specific historical data on your house online. You're going to have to
That's
go
what I'm
down
worried
there.
about.
There's a gentleman there. It's very helpful if he's still there.
We can help him outside of the meeting find locations for information on his home. That's not a problem.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, I'm wasting. This is the last one. Sorry, but okay. So approval initially for wood, and there's no other option.
Pretty much, it's kind of the synopsis here. It's kind of, no vinyl, so, I mean, just wood, take your time, do it right, get the right good window, and in the wintertime, you put up some plastic or something in the inside to help with the cold or whatever, and
don't stop the leaks, but.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
We'll open the evidentiary portion to any members of the public who would like to comment. No, thank you.
Travis, you're the only public in it, okay.
We'll go to commissioner deliberation.
6/6 wooden windows.
Okay, could somebody read a motion then?
I'll make a motion. Okay. I move to approve with conditions a request install 6/6 wood windows and to adopt proposed findings of facts, details as shown in the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statements contained in the application.
Mr. Sulky, you need to, actually what you'll need to do is make a condition that says the windows.
That's condition 5 right there.
You're right, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Well, then I'm denied, then I have to deny. Because it says vinyl, so I said wood, so then I got to deny it, and then I can't have a condition.
Let's ask Melissa.
Mr. Sulky, you were fine. One of the conditions in staff's, on the back in staff's report is that the replacement windows will be wood. So
Okay,
you're doing just fine.
Okay, thank you. Where was I now? Details are shown on the drawings, plans, photographs, submittals, and narrative statements contained in the application and submittal materials. The statements made in the meetings are part of this unless otherwise noted. The motion is based on the evidence presented before us, the application, submittals, testimony, staff reports, including finding of facts. The following conditions shall be applied to ensure compliance with the design standards set forth. Where on earth is that here? Okay, yeah, 5, replacement windows should be wood. Okay, so 1 through 7. The proposed requests and conditions for the wood windows does comply with the Wilmington Design Standards for Historic Districts and Landmarks, is compatible with the materials, features, design, context, and character of the historic districts, and the historic district in which it is located, and is congruous with the site, streetscape, and historic aspects of the historic residential as a whole. Applicable standards as the staff report speaks.
Second? Somebody wants to second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. And we move on to the next item on the agenda, which items from the commission. And I just want to take a short moment to express our appreciation for Joan Keston and Michael Smith, who just rotated off our commission, and thank them for their generosity and their hard work on this commission. They did wonderful work, and I didn't want it to go unnoticed. And I want to welcome our new members, Todd and Allison. Todd will be with us next month. Ross, sorry. Ross and Allison. At least I got one right. All right, are there any items from the staff? No? All right.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All right, passes.
All right.
Everybody's already wrapping up, it passed.